Hi Scarab Club members, my name is Patrick Mech. Welcome to my home. This is my studio on the island of ROSIE, and this is where I do my oil painting. Here in my studio I have all of my oil paints. Here you can see on a table I keep all my stuff pretty organized, all my brushes, and I have my easel here. This is my primary easel that I use. My computer screen to the left here. This is where I'm able to pull up photos of things that I'm painting. And I love to paint grandchildren, family members, friends, their pets, landscapes, homes. I've done all sorts of different things. But I really love painting my grandchildren. That's probably one of my favorite subjects. So on this painting, I've grabbed some paints to start with. I like to use sort of a closed palette system where I prepare some tones to start with, and I've got white, Prussian blue, cadmium red, French ultramarine, cobalt blue, cobalt violet, permanent rose, cadmium red deep, permanent green light, viridian, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow. And what I did was I ended up going ahead and mixing up some tones. So I'm going to do most of this painting with about 4 tones. So I've got some dark colors that I put together here, and I usually do it by mixing complementary colors. So I mixed up some cadmium orange, and I mixed that up with some cobalt blue, and here a little bit of a lighter tones, and then getting a little bit deeper and down. So basically going from a dark area up to a little bit lighter. And I'm kind of thinking I'm a background color. I'm not quite sure yet until I get it going, but I mixed up a little bit of like a blue-green there. So I love to paint my grandchildren. So I took a photo of my grandson Lewis a couple days ago at his house. He's about 5 years old. And I said, "Lewis, look at me." And I snapped the photo with my iPhone, and I just popped that up on my computer, and that is the picture that I'm going to paint. So I've gone ahead and put up about a 20-inch by 24-inch canvas up onto the easel. And I start by usually painting the white surface on these pre-stretched canvases to just a color like a medium tone color, and then I just take some charcoal, and you can see these little marks on the charcoal, kind of dividing the canvas in half and thirds and quarters and things, just to kind of get some idea where I am on the canvas before I start to just very roughly place some charcoal marks on there to see what I'm going to be doing. So I've just very lightly sketched in with a soft vine charcoal, just some placement at the bottom of the nose, the eyes, where the hand's going to be, and I'll use this as a starting point as I start to lay on my paints. So I'm going to start off by just taking about a 1-inch filbert brush. I'm trying to kind of show, I think, if you simplify everything, and that is loosen your work up by simplifying the number of tones you're using. I mentioned I'm going to use about 4, maybe 5 values to do this painting, and I'm going to really try to use just big brushes. And I'm going to start with my dark tones. Okay, so I put in probably about a value of a 3. So it's not going to be the darkest dark in there, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of around right here, the color that I put in. And I just mixed up like a cadmium orange, and I mixed some cobalt blue to make sort of a dull orange brown color. And my background color is a blue, so the orange and the brown kind of complementary colors with the blue. And my blue the background is probably a value of maybe about a 4, so it's relatively dark. So it's going to allow the lights to really pop when I start to put the lights on. So now I'm going to just take and block in a little bit of background color. Okay, so next I'm going to still continue to use my 1-inch brush, filbert brush here, ox hair brush, and I'm going to add a darker kind of tone, purplish violet, actually probably like a pure cobalt violet for the shirt. And I'm going to block that in, and I'm going to also start to lay in some background color. Okay, so now I took and I just kind of blocked in a little bit of a lighter tone. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, the color I'm going to use. I just took one of my flesh tones that were a little lighter and put some of that color in there. And now I'm going to start to go from my sort of darker tone, the hair around the eyes, and start to put in a little bit lighter tone. Remember I said I'm going to try to use like 4 tones. So I've got 1 here, and I'm probably going to add 2 more tones, all using my 1-inch filbert brush. So I haven't changed brushes yet. It helps keep you loose. When you got to use that big thick brush, you can't get too detailed yet, which I think really helps keep that sort of painterly look. Okay, so now I've added pretty much kind of one of the lighter skin tones, and it's really hard to tell the difference. It's one thing I've learned is these kind of subtle transitions, the skin tones are fairly close. It's almost hard to tell the difference on my palette between them, and it's okay to have some of the blue show through. And all of that, of course, was done, as I started to say, still all using, everything I've done so far has been with this 1-inch ox hair brush and just kind of painting loosely. Now I'm going to take, and I've got this kind of, it's a longer hair, I don't even know what the brush is called, but I'm just going to kind of just start to blend some of the edges of what I've painted in now, and I'll show you that when I get done. So here I've taken, and again I've used this kind of long ox-haired brush just to kind of cover these sort of blue areas on the painting that we're showing through a little bit, just to kind of blend the edges so it doesn't that's why I like to put the background in so that I can actually blend it while it's wet. So just like that, it's fairly simple along the edges here. You can't get almost too sloppy with it. So there we go. And now I'm going to take, and I haven't put in my darkest darks yet, so that kind of cast shadow underneath Lewis's neck here I'm going to put in, and then I'm going to just kind of delineate his eyes a little bit. And I'm going to try once again to sort of stick with my big brush, and this was a value of about maybe 3 or 4. I'm going to go down now to a value of about 2 on my chart, so it'll be a darker value, and then that'll bring out the eyes and stuff. So that's my next move. So here I added some dark around the eyes and the nose, that cast shadow under the chin. I added a little bit of color on this hand over here. And I'm going to now take my same brush that I used before and just kind of blend that dark in with the wet paint that it's laying atop. This is what I've done to this point, which essentially has been done with 4 tones. a dark tone here, probably about a 2, 3, or 4, the next color up. This along the edge, maybe about a 7, and this lighter color in the center about an 8. So that was done with 4 tones with a 1-inch brush. So you can see it captures the likeness. And now I start to fine tune it with some color, temperature, adding some warm colors, adding some cool colors. So a lot of times along the edges where that form starts to turn, you start to get kind of almost like a graying of the color. So I'm going to start to add a little bit of gray here along. You can see this kind of along the edge. Coming in here. I'm going to do this rather quickly. Now this is the first time I'm using a sort of sable brush, which is the softest brush that I've used and smallest up to this point. So I'm just, you can see, just kind of taking and blocking it in a little bit. This is all sort of a gray that I made out of a cobalt violet, and mixing it with its complementary color. Which was kind of a lime green. So again, because this video needs to be under 15-20 minutes, so I'm working quickly here. And I remember seeing online someplace, cast shadows, which is what's happening on his chin there, tend to have a pretty definitive edge versus like a sharp edge versus a soft edge. So now I'm going to take, I've got a little bit of warmer temperature here. I'm taking a little bit of an orange color. He's got a little here underneath his eyes. Some color there. That's coming here. So when I took this picture, which I took the other day, he was looking kind of into the sun, but it created a lot of contrast, which helps you paint. And you're just trying to stay loose with this stuff. Don't worry about real. I think for me at least, when I start to paint too delicately, it just starts to look. It looks like an amateur. Try to get a little color in the hand here. I was always amazed by John Singer Sargent, and I would look, and he just kind of would seem to throw just a blob of paint, and when you step back, it looks good. All right, we're going to add a little more hue here, a little deeper red here. I'm going to kind of tack the lips a little bit. He's looking into that sun grimacing a little bit. I don't want to lose that expression that he has. I'm going to rinse my brush off a little bit. And I've got a little bit of a rose madder here that I've mixed with one of my flesh tones. And I'm just going to come up here and start to add a little color to his cheeks. Get that youthful look. He's got that soft, light complexion. And that just makes it start to pop a little bit. And you've got color down here. Orange color here, sometimes up around that hairline. For some reason, to me, it always seems like there's a little bit of an orange color where the hair meets the forehead. I don't know if it's reflection of light or whatever it is. here. And coming out here. Got this soft brush, so I'm just taking one of my darks and just starting to kind of put some color into this hairline. It's melding with my kind of orange brown that I did. I mean, I like my paintings to look like a painting. It's just my preference. I'm not necessarily into the photorealism. So there you have it. And I now will continue to work on this. Because this video is only supposed to be 15 to 20 minutes long, I'm going to stop here. Maybe I'll post a picture later on the website. This I'll allow to dry a little bit. I'll walk away from it for a while and I'll come back and I'll sometimes glaze some light colors on it to add some color to it. But that's it. So thanks for coming to my studio.